On this Wednesday night, the leader of the Palestinian Authority grants his first TV interview since Hamas's October 7th attack. Mahmoud Abbas on Israel's offensive and the lack of international response. Imminent arrests in the killing of a BC Sikh leader. Reaction from the family of Hardeep Singh Nijjar as reports surface of pending RCMP action.
It's the people that are giving the orders that need to be held to account.
The mysterious death of a South Korean movie star and accusations that plagued the actor of an Oscar-winning movie. And breaking down the year that was.
A is for artificial intelligence.
2023 from A to Z.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Colleen Christie.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin in the Middle East, where Israel is expanding its ground offensive in Gaza to wipe out Hamas, all while the suffering of Palestinian civilians there grows. Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry says more than 21,000 have died since October 7th, and violence is also on the rise in the occupied West Bank. Now, the Palestinian Authority's leader is speaking out over what he's calling the worst mass displacement of Palestinians in decades. Redmond Shannon has our top story and a warning. Some of the images in it are disturbing.
A gruesome aftermath of more Palestinians killed by a drone strike. Not in Gaza, but in the other Palestinian territory, the occupied West Bank. Israel says the 6 young men killed were terrorists throwing explosive devices at Israeli troops. Mourners say they were innocent bystanders watching an Israeli raid. This man said, "We found the youths. Some of their legs were amputated and their bodies in pieces. They were not fighters." More than 300 people in the West Bank have been killed since the October 7th Hamas attacks launched from Gaza. Since then, the 88-year-old president of the Palestinian Authority, which rules the West Bank, has only issued statements. Mahmoud Abbas finally granting an interview to Egyptian TV on Tuesday. Abbas says he believes the death and trauma of the past 12 weeks is worse than the bloody displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians after Israel's declaration of independence in 1948. Abbas also blamed the United States for enabling Israel's operation to continue by vetoing a UN Security Council resolution on a ceasefire. Inside Gaza, Israel's ground operation ploughs further into the centre of the Strip and the south. 85% of Gaza's residents are displaced and in need of help. Israel pointing the finger at others for the slow drip of aid.
Unfortunately, to date, the UN aid mechanism in Gaza has been woefully unsuccessful because it goes through UNRWA. Aid simply isn't reaching the people who need it because Hamas hijacks it and UNRWA covers up for it.
Some of the aid that has arrived is in the form of 6 foreign surgeons, here to help some of the more than 55,000 people Gaza's health ministry says have been injured since October the 7th. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
In Ukraine, Kyiv says at least 5 people are dead and dozens injured after Russian forces unleashed an aerial barrage overnight. Nearly 50 attack drones, along with Russian shelling, are said to have been deployed over the southern Kherson and Donetsk regions. At least 32 drones were shot down by the Ukrainian Air Force, but several strikes still hit targets close to the front line, including near a railway station. Widespread power outages were also reported as a result of the strikes. And new satellite images reveal the extent of the damage from a Ukrainian strike on a Russian warship ported in Crimea on Tuesday. The cruise missile attack killed at least 1 person. Ukrainian military officials say they destroyed an important landing ship capable of transporting troops and armored vehicles. They also say the ship had been carrying Iranian attack drones Russia had been using to bombard Ukraine. A new report from the Globe and Mail says the RCMP is expected to make arrests in connection to the fatal shooting of a prominent Canadian Sikh separatist leader. The paper says investigators have honed in on 2 men they believe shot Hardeep Singh Nijjar in Surrey, BC last June, with their arrests coming in a matter of weeks. It's welcome news to family and friends, but as Neetu Garcha reports, they still want more to be done.
For the loved ones of Hardeep Singh Nijjar hoping for justice in his murder at this Gurdwara in Surrey, BC, reports arrests in the case are imminent is promising news.
Within the community that there's a sense of closure that might come with two people being arrested, like it's being said.
According to the Globe and Mail, 2 suspects did not leave Canada after the shooting death of the Sikh separatist leader in June and have been under police surveillance for months, and that RCMP are expected to make arrests and lay charges. Global News has not independently verified those details.
The way this information has come out now is a bit surprising, that we're still not sure how the information or why it came out. We're also kind of very wary of what India's role in this is, that these 2 individuals may have pulled the trigger, but there's a larger nexus that was involved.
In September, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau suggested Indian government agents were linked to Nijjar's murder. The Indian government denied the allegations, causing strained relations between the 2 countries.
But Canadian allegations were fortified in November by evidence in a U.S. indictment outlining a foiled plot to kill Canadian-American Sikh activist Gurpatwant Singh Pannoon, who told Global News on Wednesday he still receives threats.
I only know that I have been the target of India's, murder for hire plot, and they wanted to kill me for running the Khalistan Freedom campaign. We are going to continue doing it even if there are death threats.
U.S. authorities allege an Indian government official directed the unsuccessful plot to kill Pannoon and that there are links to Nijjar's murder as well as threats to 3 other Canadian Sikhs.
The people that are giving the orders are much, much different than the people pulling the triggers, and it's the people that are giving the orders that need to be held to account.
The Integrated Homicide Investigation Team said it's aware of the reports of imminent arrests in Nijjar's murder, but won't comment because it's an active investigation. Neetu Garcha, Global News, Surrey, BC.
After weeks of rotating strikes by several unions, Quebec has struck tentative deals with the Common Front Labour Alliance. The province says an agreement in principle on working conditions has been reached with all of the unions involved, representing 420,000 public sector workers. The latest deal was struck overnight with a union representing workers at several school boards north of Montreal. The deals don't include salaries and benefits, which are still being negotiated. Common Front leaders are threatening an indefinite strike in the new year if a final deal isn't reached. The federal government is preparing to hand over multi-million-dollar settlement packages to Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, according to the Globe and Mail. The 2 men were held in a Chinese prison for nearly 3 years. But as Abigail Beeman explains, hammering out a total figure is complicated in the face of a potential lawsuit.
They spent almost 3 years in brutal conditions in Chinese prison. Now Ottawa is looking at compensation for Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig to the tune of $3.5 million each. This according to the Globe and Mail, which reports Michael Spavor's lawyer wants a much higher amount, $10.5 million. The 2 Canadians were arrested in December 2018. Canada was unequivocal the detention was arbitrary and the men weren't spies. More broadly, the case was viewed as retaliation for Canada's detention of Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou on a U.S. extradition warrant. But now, as reported by the Globe, Spavor blames his detention on Kovrig, believing he was arrested for information he shared with Kovrig, passed on without his knowledge to the Canadian government and allied spy partners through Kovrig's role as a diplomat. The allegations have shone a spotlight on the Global Security Reporting Program, a little-known information gathering unit part of Global Affairs. A newly released critical report by the independent body that reviews Canada's security and intelligence activities found the GSRP operates in a gray zone. There are no risk assessments and security protocols related to increased scrutiny officers may attract, and the GSRP does not have appropriate safeguards for interactions with contacts overseas.
If the courts rule that the Canadian government was negligent in their managing of the interviews with Mr. Spavor, that there would be justification for the kind of compensation that he is looking for. I mean, after all, his treatment in prison involving being drugged and held in tiger chairs.
But experts say a financial settlement for a case like this is not common, pointing to Meher Arar as perhaps the closest comparison. He received $11.5 million.
I'd certainly like to see an independent inquiry made, preferably headed by a justice of a Canadian court, just to examine whether anything was done wrong.
Neither Spavor's lawyer nor Kovrig responded by deadline. A Global Affairs spokesperson wouldn't directly comment on a settlement, saying the government is committed to helping both men rebuild their lives, but due to, quote, privacy considerations, no further information will be released. Abigail Beeman, Global News, Ottawa.
The star of an Oscar-winning movie is found dead. Coming up, the accusations surrounding the tragic death of a South Korean actor. Just a few years after the South Korean movie Parasite won several Oscars, including one for Best Picture, one of its most notable stars has died. Actor Lee Sun-kyun has died in an apparent suicide after he was accused of and being investigated for using illegal drugs. As Jennifer Johnson reports, it follows a crackdown on celebrities allegedly using them in a country with some of the world's strictest anti-drug laws.
South Korean police surrounded the car of actor Lee Sun-kyun, best known as the man who played the wealthy father in the Oscar-winning dark comedy Parasite. Police say the actor apparently died by suicide after being accused of using marijuana and other illegal drugs. He claimed he was innocent. Lee gained international fame after Parasite became a worldwide sensation, winning awards around the globe. The film portrayed a poor family who schemed to become employed by a wealthy family, infiltrating their home by posing as unrelated, highly skilled workers. Parasite went on to win 4 Oscars. Lee was interviewed outside a South Korean police station in early November after being questioned about his alleged drug use. He publicly apologized to his family for being, quote, implicated in such an unethical issue. Police questioned him again Saturday. Authorities began looking for Lee after his wife reported he left home, leaving behind what seemed to be a suicide note. In recent weeks, South Korean police have brought several drug cases against a number of celebrities and other high-profile figures, including K-pop singer G-Dragon, who was cleared of any wrongdoing last week. South Korea has one of the strictest drug policies in the world. Citizens are prohibited from using drugs even when they're abroad, where the drugs are legal, including commonly prescribed medicines like Xanax and Valium. Fans of the actor quickly took to social media, criticizing South Korea's drug laws and praising Lee as a brilliant actor. Lee has a long list of film credits, and after Parasite, he went on to star in Dr. Brain, a sci-fi thriller that was the first Korean-language show produced for Apple TV. But controversy cut his career short, leaving many of his devoted fans in shock. Jennifer Johnson, Global News, Washington.
Still ahead, cleanup begins in eastern Australia following deadly thunderstorms. Eastern Australia is grappling with the aftermath of deadly thunderstorms. 10 people were killed in stormy weather that uprooted trees, damaged buildings, and left tens of thousands without power. The rain is expected to ease by the end of the day. Comedian Tom Smothers has died. Diagnosed with lung cancer earlier this year, his family says he died Tuesday at his home in California. Smothers was the older half of the comedy duo, the Smothers Brothers. He and his brother Dick were best known for the often subversive comedy hour they hosted on CBS in the late 1960s. Tom Smothers was 86. Up next, the year that was, the highs and lows from A to Z.
But it's McIntosh! McIntosh! Gold in 2:04.06!
Canadian swimming sensation Summer McIntosh has been named 2023's Canadian Press Female Athlete of the Year. The Toronto teenager won a pair of gold medals at the World Aquatics Championships while also breaking 2 world records before her 17th birthday. She'll be one to watch at next year's Summer Olympics. The year winding down means it's time for a global national tradition. From the good and the bad to the downright ugly. Mike Armstrong now with the 2023 rundown of the big events of the past 12 months in alphabetical order.
We start our look back at the year that was with a sort of technology snowball that really just started rolling in 2023. A is for artificial intelligence.
As intelligence gets integrated everywhere, we will all have superpowers on demand.
There are both promises about the potential of AI and warnings about the peril. Hollywood's been warning us for a while.
I think AI is one of the biggest threats.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
B is for, sticking with Hollywood,
Hi, Barbie.
Barbenheimer.
Chances are near zero.
Personally, I thought Barbie rode on Oppenheimer's coattails.
Hi, Barbie.
The box office disagrees.
I think the world maybe wants to see Barbie a little bit more right now.
C is for coronation. Did it seem maybe a bit too formal for anyone?
I dare Dominion to sue me.
D is for Dominion. Fox News Channel had to pay the voting machine company $787 million.
The Dominion machine that's as filled with holes as Swiss cheese.
Telling the truth is easier and less expensive.
Lies have consequences.
When the election comes.
E is for election.
Good.
We can't say when Canadians will go to the polls, but our neighbors to the south have a big one coming in November.
We got a lot of work to do.
Brace yourself.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done.
This is bullying.
F is for fabulist. It's a word describing someone who makes up stories, like ousted Congressman George Santos.
I'll be back.
Farmington, please.
Now, G is for guns. In just a matter of a few weeks this past spring in the U.S.,
Shots fired, shots fired.
there were 5 cases where people were shot over mix-ups, for going to the wrong door, or because a ball rolled onto the wrong lawn. That's all it took.
We just never expected it in a million years.
The market is leaving people behind.
H is for housing. This is a crisis. If you're in construction, things are going to get busy. They have to.
You need to eat to live.
I is for inflation, arguably the word of the year. Shrinkflation is painful too.
It's not illegal. It could be seen as sneaky.
Dylan Brooks, that looks good. It is!
J is for jumper, as in basketball. Canada won a bronze in the Worlds this past summer and is now considered a contender going into the Paris Olympics.
We want to win. We want to win every time we step out on the floor.
K is for Kremlin, which claims it had no involvement in the August plane crash that killed Yevgeny Prigozhin. The head of a Russian mercenary group had 2 months earlier led a mutiny that lasted just 1 day. Now, L is for lukewarm, which the world was not in 2023. We had the hottest summer ever, 6 months hit all-time highs, and the year will go down as the hottest in recorded history, and it's not slowing down.
Antarctica and Greenland are melting well over 3 times faster than they were in the early 90s.
Oh my gosh.
M is for Manitoba. A tragic bus crash outside Carberry in June killed 17 seniors.
We met at the church and waited and waited.
N is for nightmare, which is what many in Haiti are living through. The United Nations is supposed to move in a multinational force to fight gang violence early next year. Something has to be done. O is for omit. This list can't leave out the other ongoing tragedies in the world: Ukraine, Sudan, and the Middle East, each too painful.
India's population has increased 300% since 1950.
P is for population. India actually passed China as the most populous country in the world, 1.43 billion and growing.
It's been branded as Hollywood's wonder weight loss drug.
Q is for Q, as in people were lining up for Ozempic.
You know, supply couldn't keep up with demand.
Baby boy, I think I've been too good of a girl.
R is for rivalry, something Taylor Swift and Beyonce apparently don't have, and it's kind of nice to see.
They just shot it.
S is for spy balloons.
See the smoke coming from it?
They were originally called unacceptable and irresponsible, but may have been accidental.
Bob, come on down.
T is for television. We lost some legends of the industry in 2023 in front of the camera, behind the camera, and one guy best just described as a friend.
I left a message. I have some pride.
Do you?
No.
I'm here today.
U is for unfortunate. I'm not interested in why the Trudeau split up. I don't want to talk about it, but it was a big story. Kind of.
It's very clear.
V is for voices. We lost some legends in 2023, from Tony Bennett to Tina Turner to Sinead O'Connor.
This is a historic day.
W is for, well, we'll see. Shohei Ohtani signed for $70 million a year for 10 years. And I still remember when my beloved Expos let Gary Carter go because he was making $2 million a year.
This is a masterclass on what not to do.
X
Twitter
is for X,
awareness.
formerly Twitter, and formerly Better.
5 of these tabs are porn. One of them is Twitter. That is bad branding.
Biting the lawn ornament.
Y is for yarn, another word for story. There were a few fun ones about bears this year. From the human-looking ones in China, they were real.
The bear was, playing with the windshield wiper.
To a bear stuck in a minivan in BC, there was a real mess.
It also left an unbearable stench.
And finally, Z is for zest, as in for life.
We're having fun, keeping safe, watching each other's backs.
I thought I'd wrap up with one of the people who fought the fires in the Northwest Territories this summer and helped us cover the story. He sent us videos from the ground over Facebook.
NWT strong, man. This is my hometown. This is my country.
In the months since, I've kept following Aaron Campbell because of the positivity he pushes just about every day. This week, it was about how your best years are in front of you because you can still make them whatever you want them to be. If you met someone like that in 2023, it's a good idea to keep them around for 2024. He's a pretty good cameraman, too. Happy New Year.
What a year indeed. And that is Global National for this Wednesday night. I'm Colleen Christie. Tonight's Your Canada is Newton, Manitoba. We love to see your Canada. Please email it to viewers@globalnational.com. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll join us again tomorrow.